If you want to get to sim racing on a budget and lack some direction, this video is for you. It will cover what sims to race, where to race, and what equipment to have. This guide should help you get your feet wet into sim racing, and if you have tips to newcomers, leave those in the comment section as it might help someone. As a disclaimer, I have affiliate links with some of the brands here mentioned. Check the affiliates below. Before starting, you'll have to ask yourself, what's the objective you have with sim racing? Are you coming to enjoy racing once in a while, or do you want to become as competitive as possible? You should remember that sim racing is a journey, it's not a destination. Even if you don't race the most hardcore title, it doesn't really mean you can't do it later. It's the same with equipment, but first of all, you need to have fun. This video is inspired by Will Marsh's Wheel Buyer's Guide, and it's made in his honor. There are many sims out there covering all the available platforms. Since all the platforms have nowadays a competitive racing title, if you want to get acquainted with the general gist of competitive racing, even if it's done on a casual way, it can be done on the platform that you already own. If you have a PlayStation already, you don't need to move to PC if you just want to know if sim racing is for you. If you are on a PlayStation 4 or 5, there's a few options. Some of you will cringe at the word Gran Turismo 7 with sim racing together, but don't hear them. That is not the point. Gran Turismo has all the bases for racing, and it has an amazing matchmaking system. Some sims are one of two classes only, like the Formula 1 series and Competizione. Formula 1 2021 is extremely popular this year round. It's available in a console and in a PC. It has taken quite a number of drivers. I know it's another title that some of you will yell against, but that it's fine. The racing is solid there, and it's quite fun if you are into Formula 1. Competizione has been exploding with third-party matchmaking in the PC. In a good community, the racing is exceptional, and the driving is the best in the classes they use. If you like diversity, Assetto Corsa is always a popular choice, with lots of mods and plenty to do. The last sim I'm going to touch is iRacing. This sim isn't budget, but the competition is a positive point. It has essentially unparalleled competitive matchmaking. It's not for everyone and not for everyone's wallets, but it's one to note. What sim to race can be as important as where to race. If your use is just about single player, pretty much all of the options work. However, if your interest in regards to sim racing is where to race, some titles like Gran Turismo 7, Formula 1 2021, and even Assetto Corsa Competizione, they have a self-contained ecosystem where it's not needed to get out of the game's user interface to find a race, either through the game's browser or even the competitive multiplayer matchmaking. But if you want to take it a step above, communities like Race Club International, Actual Vision, or Low Fuel Motorsports are excellent places to find leagues. You can also join content creators' discords, as sometimes they host leagues of their own. Or you can even try to subscribe for this channel if this list is helping. It is now time to talk about the equipment. Second-hand equipment can be hit and miss. It can be an effort to filter the lemons out there. The second-hand market does have some incredible offers from time to time. It's always good practice to have an eye on it if you are looking for older equipment to save some money by not buying the newer model, or simply trying to find a deal on equipment that is currently sold new. As always, and this is important, when buying secondhand, try to find the deals that have more info. Ask for details, and if you feel something is off, just ignore that deal. Remember that the secondhand market is not only eBay. You also need to check Facebook, Craigslist, OLX, or any secondhand market webpage in your country. Having that in mind, the wheels that will dominate a very low budget will be the Logitechs, mainly the Driving Force GT, but you should choose the most preferable G25 or G27 bundles. Any of these will be old and might require some maintenance. If you are willing to do some repairs, most of the parts can be bought and replaced on these wheels. Therefore, some great deals can be had. The Logitech G29 and the Trustmaster T150 or TMX will also appear in the second-hand market at somewhat decent prices. So remember, if you are really tight on the budget, the place to start looking is really the second-hand market. But now, I would try to avoid almost every bundle from 100 to 150 euros. The equipment tends to be awful, breaks down easily, and you will just want to move to something better. Buy cheap, buy twice. Bundles starting from 150 to around 250 is where sim racing equipment starts to become really exciting. Starting with the T150, it comes in two different choices, the regular with two pedal sets and then the Pro. The T150 is an older wheel and it has been replaced by the newer T248. It's a hybrid drive wheel, so it uses a pulley and a gear system and provides a quite decent force feedback for the price. The pedals on the regular version are very soft, and I would recommend going to the Pro version as you'll get the clutch The downsides of this offer is that you can't really hard mount it to a rig, and the other option is the Logitech G29, which is arguably a better choice. It has a smoother drive, really decent pedals, and especially a very good construction compared to the T150. It just feels better in the hands with the advantage of having lots of buttons to choose from. The Xbox version, the G9220, wouldn't beat my choice because of the number of buttons it loses. Between one or the other brand, it really depends on what are the objectives you have in the future. Pedals are, in my opinion, the most critical component to get performance. In that case, I would recommend the T150 over the G29 because it has a slight edge because of the pedals. They are so much better over the G29. The G29, though, will have a smoother drive. Then at 250 mark, it's where the bundles start to become serious business. The bundles at this price point will have more flexibility, will generally have a better set of pedals, but not load cells. At the price they start, they will have more or less the update version of the budget bundles. The G923 for less than 300, it's an updated wheel, but it doesn't have any features worthwhile the price difference from the G29. The pedals have a different spring, the drive is smoother, featuring a haptic feedback called True Force. This new feature, it appears only in a few titles, but honestly, it's really not worth the price difference. As for the T248, continues to be a hybrid drive upgrade over the T150 with all the new design. It has a really great pedal set too, though the wheel is a bit rough on the edges. However, if you can spend just a little bit more, the T300 should be the choice to have. It has been around for a while, and much like the Logitech wheels, for good reasons. It has lots of strength, the price tends to be right, and if you have a budget that fits, it's generally a really good choice, as long as you go for the GT version that will have the better pedals. From 250 at over 500 and under 1000, things change significantly. Bundles of this price exist, but there's an argument that on this price you could start looking towards other solutions, like mixing and matching between companies, or you can buy non-bundle solutions. Starting with the T300 Big Brother, the TS, there's a bundle called the Competition Mod, sitting at around 650. That will give you a TS wheelbase with quite decent 6 Nm, a sparkle wheel, and a set of T3PA pedals. With 50 to 100 more, you can get the larger brother, the just released TGT2 with 8 Nm, a far smoother drive, a wheel with more buttons, and some big transducer on the back that will work for Gran Turismo Sport and Gran Turismo 7 alone. While these two wheels are good in their own right, at this price you could start looking at something a little more expensive, mainly direct drives. In this case, I would start looking at the new few options, the CSL-DD or DD Pro, the Simagic Alpha Mini, and the newly released Mozza R9. The CSL-DD will have two versions, the 5 Nm one for 350 and the 8 Nm one for 480. The wheel is excellent, it has lots of detail and a force that I consider reasonable for the amount of money spent. The other advantages is that, at least in relation to Simagic, is that Fanatec has quite a large ecosystem with lots of choices of affordable wheels and pedals for the base. Currently, Fanatec is offering bundles on the DD Pro and the CSL-DD under 1000 with everything you need. The Simagic offering will have more torque at 10 Nm, but it also has an excellent base. The downside of it is when you add everything together, it will be past 1000 euros. The newcomer to the lower end direct drive market is the competition for the CSL-DD, in this case the Mozza R9. Just like the Simagic offering, when you start adding pedals and wheels to the wheelbase of the R9, which is in this case costs $399, you'll be pushing far above. Pedals are for me the most important piece of equipment in a rig. They are what will make the lap times, as most of the fine-tuned movement of the car is actually handled by the throttle, but especially the brake, believe it or not. Pedals for me should have a load cell. If not possible, they should at least have a good progressive spring or rubber. With that in mind, there are a few options without a load cell, mainly the Trustmaster 3TPA, the new Fanatec CSLs, and also the Trustmaster T3PMs. You can get these at around 100 euros without load cells, but if you want to have load cells, and for me this should be an option, check out the Trustmaster ecosystem with the TLCMs, which do have a great load cell. You could customize the load cell with different springs. The other option with a cheaper load cell pedal will be the new CSL load cells. They are very different to the TLCM, the 1000 mark. If you need to mount any of these things, there are choices beyond your desk if you have the space or funds. There are choices like wheel stands or sim rigs. Wheel stands will have the edge on making everything more compact at the expense of not being as rigid. The choices are many, some of them being in the market for years, like the WheelStand Pro V2. There are choices, for example, the GT Omega and the classic wheel stands or the Apex. SimLab is also offering some sort of a wheel stand. If you want to have a look at something really compact that it's really not that rigid, but you can store it away, have a look at the PlaySeat Challenge. It's sort of a lawn chair and sim rig in one. Lastly, for sim rigs, you're gonna have a bad time trying to find something on a budget. There's a few budget sim rigs like the Simatic K3 or the SimHound ones. If you want to have a look at a plywood one that is super rigid, there is the RSR21. Of course, you always have the choice of making your own sim rig, either through buying extruded aluminum or doing your own do-it-yourself kind of thing. The thing with rigs is that the rig itself isn't the most expensive thing. Adding all the accessories will significantly increase the price, so keep that in mind when shopping for rigs. As always, budget sim racing is more about budgeting than the budget itself. It's very easy to blow your budget if you're not careful. Remember, you don't need any equipment besides what you already have. I would once again like to pay tribute to the late Will Marsh, as this list is inspired by his own buyer's guide video. If you enjoyed and you found this useful, press like and subscribe. If you have any tips for the community, leave them in the comments. Thank you very much for watching.